Let me turn my camera on. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the May 6th, 2025 iteration of the Kubernetes SIG-Windows community meeting. As always, these meetings are recorded and uploaded to YouTube, so be sure to adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct. Let's get started. I think not too much on the agenda. I think we're just starting the 134 release cycle, which we can talk a little bit more about today. So I guess that's possibly one announcement. The master branch has been open for a little over, or probably about a week. So if there's some dangling PRs, we can try and get them in. I know that there was a fix for some proxy work that went in and is getting back ported. Could link to that in a little bit. But does anybody else have any announcements for now? Okay, if not, we can get started. Well, I think we usually give a little bit of space if there's anybody new who wants to contribute or to introduce themselves, but I do recognize everybody on the call, so I'll just pause for one moment for that. And if not, we can get into the agenda. I see, yeah, so there was a draft PR to remove downloading curl from the BusyBox test image. Was this you, Yonglin?
Yes, it's me.
Yeah, so for some context, there was either an issue or a thread on Slack or both that where the BusyBox image for Windows stopped building, and it looked like it was because the version of where we get curl.exe from, there were some issues where the certificate that they were using to sign either expired or got revoked. I think Claudia, you have a little bit more maybe context if you still remember for that, but so this is we're trying to figure out how to get it so we can rebuild the BusyBox image. Do you want to go ahead, you want
Yeah, I made the changes built to my Red repository and did some Windows conformance tests. Basically, the test looks good, so I'm thinking maybe it's safe for us to remove the downloading of curl. But I also would like to hear feedback from Claudio.
Yeah, so I think this specifically is just using the inbox version of curl.exe, right?
Right.
Yeah, so one question that I have um, is some test going to fail because the command is not getting executed the way we want it?
I didn't make any failure test case because of this.
Yeah, Youngling, what I'm worried about is, like, have you run every test, right? There could be tests that we typically don't run, but maybe some other SIG runs it as part of their test suite. Um, So we just need to be careful. Like, I think there could be, I mean, one approach we could do is, given it's starting of the cycle, we get this merged and see what else fails because curl is not found now or something like that, or not curl is not found, right? It'll be like the command, the the parameters used in curl doesn't match what the parameters are present in the Windows curl command that's part of the server image by default. Those are the things we might run into. So yeah, one approach is to just get this merged and see what the fallout is.
Yeah, what I run is only the normal, for example, Windows test. I didn't run the serial or that kind of cases. Also, for the Linux, we will have to bump up some version because of this change. It should not be related with curl, but yeah, we need also need to test because of the bump version change, if any Linux test case will be affected or not. Because we will have to bump up the version at the same time.
Why are we bumping like the Redis version and things like that?
Because we want to bump up it has basic image of BusyBox, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that all of these were built on top of BusyBox. I see, Claudia, you've had your hand raised. Do you want to?
Yeah. Could you maybe possibly build those images, upload it to some repository, and make a work in progress pull request, updating the test e2e manifest.go file to use those images, and
Yes,
then trigger the Windows e2e tests to see that everything passes and works?
yes, I did for the I mean normal test cases, master, basically CPC Windows master, but not for the serial or slow test cases.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Claudio's suggesting that open up a draft PR to, or not a draft PR, but a PR to update where
I'll
PR
send
to
a
up.
PMR to for the PR
Yeah,
check-in to uh,
yeah. So I like under test. I always forget.
E2 test manifest should be
Yeah, I always have
okay.
to
I did this locally. I didn't send out the draft
ut-
PR, but mhm.
utils.
test util image manifest.
Yeah.
So what
Okay.
you could do here is um both update where like the endpoint for the container registry
Yes.
point to
Hmm.
the like our Windows ETE one, and if you need or a different one that's open, probably well, we can get into the specifics later, and then update the version, and then we should be able to trigger all of the CI jobs and see if they pass from there.
Do you mean? I mean, do you mean we can specify our low? Uh, uh, do we need to send the PR to build the image first, or
So in order to like merge the official version bump, we would, but if we're just trigger like if we build the images and push them to a different container registry, we can just override the container registry that we're pulling the
yeah?
images from in that pull request too, and just make sure to not uh revert like to not merge that change. So we could just instead of saying like we're pulling everything from the registry.case.io like ed test images or whatever,
Right.
pull from either a container registry that's set up in the CI sub that we would be able to pull from, or a Docker account, a Docker hub account or something.
Right. But if possible, I would think it would be better to uh, uh, to merge the version bump up first, because if we build to a local repository to run all the test cases, we maybe build all different versions, all kinds of reported the image, and some image are quite built, quite old enough, and yeah, we may met with different kind of issues if we build old version of image to our uh, local or repository. So if somehow we can build the image, push to the public repository, because it has all different kind of versions of image available, it will be make the test more easier.
Yeah, I think you could argue either way. My gut reaction is that they would like the maintainers of these would rather see the full test suite that like Claudio did, even if it's more work for us, just to avoid having multiple commits to the image versions if we and have to do multiple spins of the test images if there are issues with the curl image. What do you think, Arvin?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. It just feels like the safer thing to do.
Even if it is a little bit more work.
Yeah, yeah, Yonling. I know this is more work, but I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like, we need to convince the maintainers that this is the way forward, right? So Yeah, that might be hard.
And if we, yeah, like we should be able to isolate, well, both isolate the testing that we're doing for specific for the Windows versions by only bumping that version here. But I do see what you're saying, like we'd need to go and either build the old versions and push them, like push all of the versions before your change, and then push the new versions with the new version bumps to that public registry. And then if we do that, that could avoid needing to bump every one of these in the PR, but
But the PR checking is only what kind of a test will PR checking run? If I mean it's only Windows Master similar, that should be fine. I already have that in my repository. But if
for which ones? I imagine that the tests for anything under like the test or the test images file, there's going to be more tests that people are going to want to see run, like that the image owners are going to run. But I've made some version bumps to this, and I don't think it was too bad. But yeah, DIMS is probably one of them. I think DIMS is very reasonable. So
I mean, one approach you can do, Yunling, is open the PR and see what the reaction is.
okay,
You know, and then you can take it from there based on the
okay,
reaction on
okay,
what direction you want to take.
right, okay.
I don't know if you saw this, but there in the test images there is a pretty detailed README with Windows documentation. I'm guessing, Claudia, you updated a lot of that.
Yeah, it was written quite a long time ago. But yeah, you can also see details here on how to promote the images. When and if the pull request merges, they're gonna be built and published in a staging registry first, from which
Okay.
you should be promoted to the official registry.
Okay, yeah, I will.
I think that would be promoting to the official registry is probably another PR, right?
Yep.
To the Kates.io. Yeah.
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 Okay, yeah, let me try. It is more complicated than I had thought.
Yeah. This can get kind of complicated. So that yeah, there's the staging registry, and then when you want to promote to the official registry, each image that is kind of managed by the Kubernetes project, and there's a lot, has entries here, and then there's automation that will look for tags in the staging registry and well, tags and SHAs. So to look for images in the staging registry and try and keep them in sync. So it will pull all of the, like, if there's a new entry added here, it will automatically sync the images, like the images that match that SHA and tag to from the test repository, or from the staging repository to the main repository.
Okay.
So the images in the staging registry are not being used by any tests, right? The tests are still using the official ones.
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we want to validate the staging registry ones, we have to change it locally and run from there.
You can also open up a pull request,
Mhm.
updating to the staging one,
Ah,
trigger the E2E Windows jobs, for example, for our case.
okay.
In that case, the E2E job will start, and of course, it's gonna use the staging images. And
Mm,
it's a good way to know that, yes, those images do not break existing CI, because it's gonna be quite terrible to have a broken CI to not be able to validate any other pull requests which
mm,
will come our way.
sure. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like the a while ago the E2E tests did pull from a staging registry, but I think over the course of a couple of years, there's a lot of kind of history with the project, but in the past, container image pulls from the registry or from the old Kubernetes official registry was actually a very significant amount of the like operating costs of the Kubernetes project. And the SIG-Kate's infra team did a lot of work to basically like I don't remember like to spread the load of those container images across a bunch of different backing like container registries, like some in GCR, some in Amazon infrastructure and things like that. And that kind of coincided with the community clusters where sometimes the prow jobs will run in GCE, sometimes they'll run in Amazon infrastructure and all of that too. So that's I think to help keep costs and latency down and just limit egress from kind of data centers when appropriate. Hmm. Does anybody have anything else to discuss on that? Okay, I do see some new items here about the Windows subpath issues. Does any
Yeah, I added this. This is something that was brought up to us by a couple of customers recently, and this issue has been open for a long time. So I just wanted to see if you think there is a timeline for this. Um, and most of the workarounds that I mentioned were just not to use volume subpaths, but that's not an option for everyone. So yeah.
yeah, I thought that one of the big issues was using it didn't necessarily not using subpaths, but not having any nested subpaths. Let me look at this again, but my recollection of this was that there's an issue where the way that the volume mounts cleanup is kind of non-deterministic, and if you have one volume mount that is like a parent directory and another volume mount that has a path that's a directory into that same parent directory,
Mm-hmm.
you can get into a state where the kubelet tries to clean up or either kubelet or HCS tries to clean up the parent volume, like the parent directory first, and then the subsequent volume mounts that were children directory of there were bad, like it caused issues. I don't know if this is like if anybody had taken a look at this. There's probably a couple ways to solve this. One would be to update the kubelet to potentially kind of evaluate all of the subpaths and make sure leaf nodes get cleaned up before parents.
Okay.
Is this only happening on Windows? There could also potentially be some work done in I don't know if it would be in container D or in the
I
HCS
think
to be able to
that
handle that.
kubelet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like the kubelet issue that I linked was looked into. Kirtana was trying to reproduce it last year, and she was able to do it.
Yeah, I remember I was able to reproduce it too, and there's a bunch of issues here. And it from what I remember, it was like somebody was making a volume mount with like C colon like inet pub, and then another volume mount that was like C inet pub, and then like a subpath in there. And that was causing issues where sometimes, like if the parent directory was cleaned up first, it was just kind of like an issue cleaning up the subdirectories.
I mean, is that illegal, Mark? Because if it is, maybe we should flag that during creation time.
It was I do remember seeing something in on Kates.io about that. And then I remember there was one issue where somebody was doing that and then we identified the issue and then there was disclaimer on here for subpaths that said don't do that. And I linked to that and I think that made somebody not happy. Yeah, so this says volume mounts cannot mount within other subpaths. And I believe that somebody was like that there was a little bit of hesitancy to put some checks in the kubelet because people could use symlinks to get around that. And then like somebody was saying like how much validation should we do in the kubelet? Like, do we need to do is just validating the pod spec at admission time enough, or does this also need to be a check in the kubelet to evaluate paths and all of that too? Maybe we could restart some of the conversations, but and I'm sorry, did you say that that you had like a case where you weren't able to restructure the way the volume mounts were working for the use case? That might be interesting, and that could potentially maybe add some more like
Yeah, I think
get
that's what the customer said, but I'll look into it again, and if that's the case, I'll post it on that issue. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. If you can get from what I remember, I think this was brought up, and somebody from SIG Storage was kind of said the same thing. Like, don't have like volume mounts can't be children of other volume mounts, and
Mhm.
then said just tell them to restructure the way the volume mounts are happening. But if there's a use case that couldn't do that, that would be good to know.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yeah, and is this the one that I see the empty dir stuff? I don't remember if that was similar or not. Okay, I think we're almost at the end of the meeting. I do see a couple more agenda items.
Yes. So, just wanted to remind about those cherry picks you were talking about earlier, Mark.
Yep.
You can get them merged quickly. That would be great.
I believe now they have all of the approvals and LGTMs they need, so it's up to somebody from the release team to get them merged. And typically the release team will merge them like a couple of days to a week before the next set of patches are scheduled. So they will be included like hopefully, and I have high confidence that they will get included in the next set of patch releases. But a lot of times the release team isn't proactive about merging these as soon as they get all of the approvals. Is there a need to get this merged in the release branches, or are we just wanting to make sure that they don't get missed for the next set of patch releases?
Actually, we have a customer impact. Two customers have reported this, so we wanted to get these merged as soon as possible so that we can further include them in our armies. And so, when is the next patch version release you think that will include these? This month or next month?
Let me check. Actually, looks like it's gonna be the next, like they should merge this week then, if I'm reading this correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'll yeah, we can. I think maybe now is close enough to the cherry pick deadline that we can ping the release team in the next day or two and get those merged. But it looks like they should get merged very soon. So
All right. And so is there anybody from the release team I should ping? Or maybe if you can ping somebody, that would be great.
yeah, there's one of the Slack channels. I don't remember which one exactly it started. There's a like
SIG release or something.
I don't think it's
Yeah, there is one SIG release.
release management.
Release management. All right.
Yeah, release management. So that like you can follow the status of the patch releases too. Usually there'll be like a thread saying, "Hey, cherry pick deadline's coming up for the patch releases. Can we get somebody to like wrangle all the PRs?" And then there'll be threads for when they start each patch release with the status and all the steps for that.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
And I have another question. Last question. Is Containerd 2.0 officially supported with K8 version, like on Windows, for Windows?
Yes, we're running tests with Containerd 2.0 on for all of I believe everything on test grid is running with Containerd 2.0 now.
All right.
So in terms of like officially supported, I would probably say yes.
Yeah.
But we do have like the full test pass. Yeah, Arvin, I see you went on mute.
Yeah, I think we just don't run it by default, Kulwant, if that's what you're asking. I think its default is still 1.7.
Okay. So we run test for both 2.0 and 1.7, huh?
Oh, we should switch to running to 2.0, I think.
I
we
vaguely
do run.
remember we switched and then we had to switch back, but don't quote me on that. It was a while ago though. We made an attempt to switch and I vaguely remember us having to like switch back to 1.7.
If we so that we do, I know we have a test pass this CapZ Windows Containerd nightly. We build Containerd and HCS shim from source like every day, like, and then run the test passes against that. We should add a test pass to we should either switch away from Containerd 1.7 entirely or add another or do some staging and add a test, like get it Containerd 2.0 test pass running in parallel with Containerd 1.7 and then maybe phase out 1.7. This one should be. Yeah, I thought we had switched. I remember switching that over. I didn't realize we went back. Where's
So, Arvind, you were saying we don't run them by default. Does it mean like it's on demand, like for a specific PR, if we want to test it with 2.0, that's when we request it, right?
No, what I'm saying is I think in many of the tests, I think you can specify what Containerd version to use, and we specify 1.7. I mean, that's what I'm saying by default. And I think there are certain tests where you specify 2.0, but it's been a while since I went and looked at this.
Oh,
And I don't know which one we do on 1.7 versus 2, but like Mark said, right, there might be like nightlies that we run against 2.0 or something.
Yeah. Let me follow up with this. I think, and yeah, let me follow up. Let me see which ones we have and that like which ones are running where, and then we can discuss maybe at the next meeting to what we want to do. And I know we're a little bit over time. I did want to say either probably the next meeting we should start to look at the enhancements to see and start doing CUP collection to figure out which enhancements we want to bring forward for the 134 release. Yeah.
Thank you, team.
Bye, everyone.
Yep, I'm gonna stop the recording and then head over to SIG node. So thanks everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you.
folks. See you on Slack.
Bye.
Bye.